exempt themselves. These widows are caused to exempt themselves by cutting cord with the families of their late husband, including the children. It is a known fact that in different countries of Africa, widows are discriminated against through customary inheritance law. There are a lot of African cultures where widows are known to have no peace, from Algeria to Zanzibar. And when I said Algeria to Zanzibar, it's from the A to Z. Women in widowhood are faced with double issues of gender inequality as they struggle with the existing challenges that had doubled with the exit of their husband. From Sustainable Development Goals of 2030 to African We Want Agenda of 2063, there are many initiatives across the continent, such as the Kilimanjaro Mountain Initiative, where women and widows issue we are driving. Even Amana Hope in a foundation, in 2020, we initiated the Nigerian Widows Protection Bill. All this initiative was all in the attempt to include and empower widows. Different NGOs, CBOs, and advocates across the country are doing one thing or the other with regards to widows' rights and empowerment. Many widows in survival are using their voices and action to advocate and drive a changing situation for the women in widowhood. With technology, many widows are connecting, sharing stories and ideas, seeing dissimilarities in issues across the continent. In 2020 lockdown, the Widows Summit of Amana Hope Foundation was virtual, and among the speakers were widows from East, West, South, and Central Africa, an experience that resulted in the creation of widows-led NGOs. This group were created in 2020 November, and it had about 10 widows who are from the East, West, South, and Central Africa inside it. Through the various chats and discussions of this group, what we can do as a body, my suggestion of the African Widows Summit, a whole lot of us jumped to it. And together we started the idea, the discussion, the planning of the African Widows Summit, which is what we are here today. And what is the African Widows Summit? The African Widows Summit is a 3-day premier initiative that is the first of its kind that is going to happen on the ground of Africa. The Tanzania government has agreed through their president, who welcomed us on the 19th of December, 2023, endorsed and agreed to officiate it. What is the Widows Summit? The Widows Summit is aimed at bringing stakeholders, gatekeepers. It's going to be diverse. The idea of the summit to have diverse assemblies of participants, including the women in widowhood, men and women advocates from across the African Union, esteemed country leaders and representatives, officials from UN Women and UN Women Africa, CEOs of NGOs, and every other bodies, traditional, religion, legislators that are decision makings across the African continent. And what is the objective? The overall objective of the summit is to deepen understanding on widows' policy development, implementation and monitoring with specific focus on emerging issues and African Union's commitment on widows, including improved access to knowledge and information in support of evidence-based related widows' rights policy making, showcasing promising practices on widows' rights and in the field of land policy and governance on widows' issues, facilitating network among widows' rights across Africa. And how is the summit going to hold? How do we intend to present the summit? The summit aims at the end of the day to provide political leadership, guidance and recommendation on widows' issue and widows' agenda in the African Union, to advance the inclusion and participation of widows and its agenda in African Union conferences, and also to begin to talk about it in states, in countries, in ministries where widows should be visibly included in all these departments of women agenda, to enhance the integration of actions to address the challenges faced by widows across African continent, to promote the sharing and implementation of best cultures and practices that enhances widows' rights and protection within the continent, and to improve cooperation and coordination with stakeholders and gatekeepers across the African Union. How are we going to do it? How do we expect to do it? On the 20th, 22nd, and 20th, 21, and 22nd of June, we intend to have so many actions, so many activities that we engage all the stakeholders and gatekeepers that will be present through high-level preliminary sections, which means we'll be having engagement in a strategic discussion and debates by our esteemed leaders, experts, and advocates to develop the recommendation and strategies for integrating the widows' agenda within the African Union. We plan to have thematic workshop, organize specialized workshop led by key women in widowhood rights, protection, empowerment, and women rights and inclusion, with a focus of sharing the best practices, case studies, and successful intervention. And we intend to have a policy formulation where collaboration with policymakers and stakeholders to develop an actionable policy recommendation and guidelines aimed at addressing widowhood-related challenges and fostering culture of support across African nations. The next thing we intend to have is network and collaboration. We are aiming that the summit will facilitate networking opportunities, partnership, and alliance among widows representatives, NGO policymakers, international bodies, first ladies, gatekeepers, and to strengthen collective efforts. We also intend to have cultural exchange, promote the exchange of cultural experiences, traditions, and practices that empower and uplift widows, while also celebrating diverse heritage of women across Africa. At the end of the summit, we are expected to have a comprehensive recommendation. Comprehensive recommendation is what we are going to have as a paper, a document that will be presented as widows' rights, protection, and empowerment, which will be submitted to the African Union for consideration and integration into their agenda. And we have policy guidelines. We will have collaborative partnerships. We will have best practices handbook. The best practices handbook is one of our key action that we're going to have. At the end of the day, one of the things we would like to have is a collaboration of all the decisions and actions that is happening that are in good light of the widows' development in Africa. And we'll have it as a handbook, which will be used internationally and locally to present how far the widows are going. The widows' agenda and issues are changing in Nigeria, in Africa. The reality is this: when we go into the internet, most countries in Africa provide good example for international bodies when they want to talk about good. I mean, when I mean good, good in a negative way. Or let me not use the word good. Provide enough example of some of the harmful practices and abuse women in widowhood go through. If you hit your button on online now, you will not look further. You will not look. Can we mute ourselves? Mute everybody, please. Mute everybody and let's the person. If you hit the online now, you will see enough example. You won't search more to see countries, stories that are derogatory on widows of Africa. And one of the things we are saying as widows that have come together is that, yes, we want to own this story and we want to begin to tell it. We want to begin to show it. And we want to be able to say this is getting better. This is not getting better. So that while we are looking at what is not getting better, to work on getting it better, we are applauding ourselves that this is getting better. The beauty of it is that it will encourage other countries. The countries that are not getting better, we have a good example within their brothers and sisters, which is Africa, to now copy from. So what are we saying? The time has come. One of the things that we know about widows in Africa, widowhood is this. Widowhood has been known for segregation, exploitation, disenfranchisement. I mean, you name it. I mean, we have been described as invisible. We have been described as the omitted. We have been described as the excluded. And the truth is that why so many of these definitions still stand, but more in defining of widows. What are we really doing in changing it? And that is why the African Widows is here to bring ourselves together as widows, inviting women and men to come and join us, to come and help us. Let's look at this issue holistically. Let's address this issue. Support the widows, help the widows, lead the widows. Let's make a change that in years to come, our generation will look back and they will be glad and know that there used to be a time, this is the story, but this time, the story has changed. That's what, and one of the reasons we are here is, it's not just to tell the story, we are here to, just like Frank said, we want to gather, that's why we keep saying it's an African Widows Summit. When I went to Zanzibar and they said, I said it's not a Zanzibar summit. If not, I will not leave Nigeria and come to Zanzibar. And it's not a Nigerian summit. If not, the people that are from here, Cameroon, Kenya, Malawi, they will not leave their space to come. It is an African summit. The African widows want to say to the African leaders, we want to be included. We want to be defined. We want to be allocated. It is no longer a discussion of widows empowerment, widows' rights, widows this, and in the midst of empowerment, widows are being disenfranchised. We want the widows to be allowed, just like every other person, to lead their cause and lead their discussion. So thank you so much. I understand that our mommy is here. You know, one of the things I find interesting when I say mommy, then Taiwo, is I look at her and I look at her age. And I said to myself, how will I be when I get to this age? You know, because when you look at her and you realize her age and you realize her journey, she is no other person than Nigerian British-born actress. Then Taiwo Ajai-Lycett, she is one of the Nigerian foremost actresses. Even at 83, did you hear me? 83, she is still taking roles in Nollywood film, like King of the Boys. Her husband, Tom Lycett, relocated to Nigeria because of her, and he died 30 years ago. And she kept inspiring not just widows, but women and everybody around. She has not given up, and she's not going to go. Mommy, then Taiwo Ajai-Lycett, welcome, ma. Mommy, can we hear you?
I think she needs to be unmuted.
Please, Mommy, can you unmute yourself and take...
As we welcome the very delectable and incomparable Mama Taiwo Ajai-Lycett, an icon of Nollywood, an icon of entertainment. Welcome you, ma.
I mean, you have lots of meetings.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma. Please, we want to see your face. We want to see your face because there are some people from Kenya, mommy. There are some people from, they want to see this 83-year-old, because when I told them she's 83, I was like, wow. I said, yeah, 83.
I'm trying to do that. I'm on I'm trying to
release your video.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to click.
Yes, ma'am.
I need to get on video.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share your picture so I can see it?
Start my video.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get my head around it a little bit.
Yeah. It's not just the pitch that they are going to be looking at. They're also going to be
I'm so sorry to be keeping you.
I mean,
I'm operating a system that I'm not familiar with.
That's fine. We will wait for you.
But
because the reality is, I don't know how many of them at your age, how many of us at your age will be this parent.
We have to live in the present world. Life goes on, darling. Movement. We've got to be moving.
Yeah. So while you're trying to unmute it, like let's continue to talk. Mommy,
yes,
I know one of the things with the first day I've read a lot of your stories. I don't want to get into that one. But we want to be on a lighter mood, that is because you're being here. Before we continue the discussion of the summit and everything, we want to learn from the elders. And one of the things we want to ask you is, please, Ma, can you share some insight into your personal journey of widowhood over the past 31 years?
Well,
just give us a small insight, Ma, because I know your story is big. It's more because I mean there are so many younger people here that want to, especially I know some of them are hearing your Queen's English and they know that this is not just that the likes of hope that is Ajapako. So, okay,
I can see myself. You see it?
Yes, we can see you.
Have you got the picture now? Fantastic.
Yes, we can see you. So let's have a small story of the 31 years journey,
I think a day at a time is the thing. We just move a day at a time. And I know I was going to say pray, but we get so much hooked, fixated on religion that I don't want to say that. The idea that we are alive by itself is enough, I think. And I think I tell you something that I learned the last 30 years. I learned to believe in my own divinity. That sounds very arrogant, but it isn't. It's real. We are gods.
Yeah.
And we are more God than men. We have the strength. We can face the world. We can face our world. We can face our tribulations. This is not a gender thing I'm saying. We populate the world. We nurture our husbands. We nurture our children.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with this group. It's very interesting because I think we need to focus on the fact that we are not weak, and the society must take advantage of the strength that is in widowhood. If a man gets widowed or whatever, if the wife of a man dies, immediately they marry him a wife, right? He can't stand still. But a woman who runs the show anyway is going to survive.
Yeah.
Because we're multitasking, multi-talented. We're very, very emotionally strong. This measure of living is not a question of brawn. It's not about power. It's about mental power. And the woman is endowed enormously with that. Because, yes, I repeat, ye are gods, Jesus told us. And if we believe in that divinity, there is nothing that we can do. And therefore, yes, I agree. We should change the dialogue. We should get society to pay more attention to widows. We should get them to have more support and more, above all else, more respect for them, because we have been managing. Those of you who have been widows, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Seemingly, there's no help from anywhere, but it's because you manufacture help. You get it, you make it happen. So we're not as weak as we are. And it is that strength that we have that I think society ought to recognize, respect, and then boost up in order to make the society itself stronger for our children that are left fatherless, so that the society can then support the widows to raise the future generation.
I'm gonna, yes, I agree with you, ma'am. Let me add what and like that. I know you're in media, because two things we want to do, because we want to bring other people so that they can talk. I know a lot of people would like to ask you questions. How do you think that media can do better in helping advocate the issue of widows towards change, towards constructive change?
Widows need, this is what I'm saying, media should stop making widows a referral to our lives. They're integral to our lives, because they're looking after children that the men have left when they die. And therefore, attention, the struggle of the widows is something that needs attention by the media. Put it on the front burner so that the government, the society knows that you cannot make a widow invisible. You cannot diminish her. You owe it to her to support her. And we're not even talking about the silly widows' rights we have in our various tribal groups. I use that word tribal advisedly.
Yeah.
We're all in tribes, but in our traditional groups, where as soon as your husband dies, you are invisible, you are a nobody anymore, and nobody wants to pay any attention to you. We want to be addressing the fact that if you love your son so much, how could you treat his significant half like she's nobody because he's no longer around? It doesn't make sense to me.
And it's because, we just want to have a little bit of conversation before we now get to people to that. Okay, Mommy, let me ask something, from your own personal, influence. What do you think that the government, because one of the things I keep telling people is that I know my problem, but I'm not in position to change that problem. And that's part of the things we are looking at. We are looking at how to address it using the summit. What are the things? I itemize 3 things that you believe that government should develop a structure that is needed to address widows' issue.
Pension for widows is one. They need financial support. I think that is important. Child care. Not all widows are old when their husbands die. Some of them are still raising children. Cost of child care and employment. Sorry, there is an.
Please,
there is.
Please mute everybody and just leave the speaker.
Yeah.
So we are telling you. So basically, you're talking pension, childcare, and because these things you are calling now are new to Africa, and that is nice because these are part of the things we want to bring to.
It is important because the widow has to survive. Mm-hmm. And that is an acknowledgement that there is life after death, I call it.
Okay, and another thing I will ask you, ma, what will you, in the midst of why we are agitating for what government can do for widows, what can you say to widows themselves to do for themselves? Advice, just give them in a 1 minute word to give them advice so that we will still come back. I know that a lot of people will want to ask you questions.
Yes, indeed. As I said, even if the government and our governments are not doing that right now, we must realize that there is life after death, our life and the lives of our children. Therefore, we must take courage and plan for the future. If that happens to you, retrain, retrain and start and be entrepreneurial. Start a job. I don't even have to lecture our women about that because we're entrepreneurial. We're always doing so. Start a business. Start something. There are some skills that you had before you married. It may well be that you give up job working so you can look after the children. If we had creches, if we had affordable creches, people we can leave our children with, not just the maid, because the children need to have an education. They have to be they have to be raised while you're going to work. Then start something, and if need be, start something which enables you to keep your children with you. And there's dressmaking, there's hairdressing, there's all manner of things that we are skillful at, or go back to the employment market.
Thank you, Dan. We are going, please, you're going to stay behind because I know when it comes to questions, people will want to ask you questions. We are bringing in Regina. Regina has been introduced. Regina is the real broadcaster. I'm not a broadcaster. When I say I'm only a teacher. So Regina is going to take over the next segment.
Only a teacher?
Regina is going to take over the next segment because she is going to bring widows, women that are across East, West, and North, and the South. There's South and Central Africa. Regina, welcome and thank you.
Thank you very much. I am so excited. Just looking at Mama, I feel like giving her a hug, and I'm sure she's receiving my virtual hug. I look forward to meeting you, Ma. I look forward. I am so excited that I wish I could jump out of this phone and get to you. I'm waiting for that technology one day to say that I'm looking at you live and responding to whatever you are saying. To me, made my day. That means the month of March is on the right start. Welcome, ladies and ladies. We are here already. As you can see, that we took off on a very interesting note, but I need to go back again and do
a few gentlemen.
Yes, I wanted to say that. I want to go back to the existing protocol. As they taught us, they say we shouldn't just stand on it, we should mention the protocol. So my name is Regina Chris-Obodo. I am a member of the African Widows Summit. Of course, I look forward to whatever thing that we're going to end up agreeing upon, and have been excited since the idea was muted to some of us. And I'm also privileged and thanking God for giving me another opportunity to come here. One, I have two things that is common with everyone, or most of us that are here, is that I am a widow. And so I understand and I feel what we should be talking about. And I really believe that at the end of the day, we will all come out with something that would be a document that we're taking to the African nations, talking about our leaders. So welcome, Frank. I would like to say thank you for that beautiful introduction at the beginning. We ought to have done the national anthem, but I'm so sorry we can't do that because we're working with time. We're so excited. Madam Hope jumped on the gun and then gave Mama a beautiful start. So it was a whetting of our appetite that we saw Mama herself, still strong at 83. So I'd like to welcome everyone from the Cameroons, from Kenya, from Tanzania, from every part of Africa. I just want to say welcome to this wonderful summit. Big things always start small. I need to remind us that they always look like it's small, but most times big visions that outlast the people, the visionaries, always starts just small. So we might be thinking that this is a virtual setting. I can tell you that by the time that this seed grows, you would look back and wonder, are we the same people that started this? So what are we talking about today? We're talking about a number of things, but I just need to highlight them before I bring some of the speakers that will be on the round table, quote and unquote, albeit it's going to be a virtual round table. We're going to be talking about various issues that concern widows across the African continent. It's no longer news that we have that. I also want to take note and say welcome to one of our speakers, Gozie Odumezwe, that is also here. I'll be talking and introducing her properly. Diana Kamande would like to welcome you. Gladys Viban, I want to say welcome. And Tara Isida, we will be welcoming you properly in due course. So let me go back straight on to tell us some of the things that we will be discussing. Challenges widows face in your particular country. I know that it's a universal issue, but when it comes to Nigeria, I mean, Africa, we also have our peculiarities. So such discussions will be rising and we'll be talking about them and how the situation of widows, we want to know whether it has improved over the years, because the outcry or the advocacy has been much more louder as compared to other years. So we'll talk about also the policies in place guiding widows and disparity between policies and cultural norms. You know that one of the basic things that have been the bane of African widowhood that has been stopping us from growing is this cultural thing and traditions. So we'll be talking about them and what issues would be, we would like to discuss or address, talking about the TAWS and of course, widows across Africa. Having said that, let me not waste time. Without much ado, let me introduce our ladies in no particular order, but I'll be reading a bit of their profiles. So let me start from the person here. They say host is host. So I'm not coming from Nigerian perspective. Let me introduce Tara Isida, as she just shows our face, her video puts it on so that we know we're introducing them. Tara Isida is a sociable, multifaceted individual. She's highly resourceful. She trained as a legal practitioner, and she is a radio host and a columnist. Welcome, sister. And we also have our own dear Gladys Viban, a gender and youth development consultant, motivational and keynote speaker. She holds a translation and interpretation degree at the Université de Montréal. That's a French way of saying University of Montreal, I guess. She's a board director of many international and local nonprofit working on women and youth. Another of our speakers that I would like to introduce, ladies and gentlemen or gentlemen, is Diana Kamande. Interestingly, she's my friend on Instagram. We've not had so much, but I think once in a while, when we watch each other, I see her doing marvelous things. Diana is a widows' rights ambassador, a national widows leader, an event organizer. She holds a degree in women in leadership and governance in Africa at the University of Nairobi and doctorate in humanitarianism. That's all from Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Nairobi, Kenya. The last but definitely, okay, yes, but definitely not the least on this, because we're going to save the best for the last. Mama is coming back. Talking about my dear sister, Gozie Odumezwe. She is an attorney, a niche coach, human rights advocate, writer, and public speaker. She is a PhD student in peace, conflict, and development studies. She is co-founder Healing Hearts Widows Support Foundation Incorporated. So, ladies and gentlemen, having introduced all of these wonderful, great Amazons across Africa, I just want you to just drop your emoji clap as we welcome them. I have the right to clap so that you will see me. Ladies and ladies, let's welcome them. Sisters, we're glad that you are here. We are so happy to have you. Okay, Diana is explaining. I think, are you trying to say that there's some change? Okay, I read a bit of what your profile. Diana is saying she's also the founder of Come Together Widows and Orphans Organization. So she says she looks forward to a great engagement on this virtual meeting. Okay, you said you'll be leaving at 2:30. So that tells us that you need us to be quick. I know your plates are full, so we will be doing great. Also, without sounding as if I introduce only important people, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to know that you are also very, very important. If you didn't come or log in, we would have had an empty space. So we're so glad that you are here. We're so glad. So let me begin with, in no particular order, You could see that our mama, talking about our octogenarian mama of, I so love this woman, is able to give us a bit of what should be expected on the widows, for the widows, or from the angle of government. Let me start with Isida. I hope I got the name right before I'll start pronouncing murdering names. Please, my apologies if I didn't pronounce it well. Now, let's start with you. Let's talk about generally, what is your perspective of widowhood within the African continent? We need you to just talk to us in the next 5 minutes, and then we'll move to the next speaker. Thank you. Is Isida there, please, my
Tara?
host?
Tara?
Right. Okay. Tara, are you here? So that she gives us our speech.
I've not seen her.
Oh, okay. If Tara is not here, so I might as well move to the next speaker. Let me just call on, okay, let me now give her the benefit of the host. I mean, to say that she's a host, quote unquote. Goze Odemuzwe, is she here? I think I saw her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Can you just make your speech the next 5 minutes? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my sister Regina. It's good to see you again.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, Sister Hope, for all the work. Thank you, every sister who is here. Thank you to the mama who spoke to us earlier. I've seen her on TV as a child growing up, and I'm really honored to have her in my space. Widowhood in Africa is not a topic that we have to allow the African leaders to continue to sweep under the carpet, because it's becoming an issue that we have to bring up on a national level and internationally, because men die all the time. This morning I was watching a movie with my daughter, and the man insisted that his wife will not work. It might look, attractive that a woman stays home, is pampered, everything is provided for her, and she might not even have access to the account. And so she's all made up, Brazilian hair, whatever they call all the hairs and everything. What if something happens and she's left all by herself with the children? How is she going to survive? And so beyond looking at what culture is doing, beyond looking at what religion and tradition and everything else is doing, we have to begin to speak to us, widows, us women. When they say don't do anything, it means don't leave your house and go to work most of the time. Now we have Instagram, we have Facebook. You can run things, you can sell, you can make money from the comfort of your home. There are things you can do. I ran a soup business for years from my home kitchen in Enugu, and I was selling soup all over Nigeria. What if the man finds out? Well, when he finds out, when we get to that bridge, you cross it. You have to talk, do the talking, but don't, I know there are non-widows. This place is the space for widows, but when you have the opportunity to talk to non-widows, tell them to stop buying that idea. Because my foundation has more issues, more challenges, taking care of widows who were not doing anything. you see these women who had been hustling, in quote, they adapt to widowhood easily, more easily, because they have been on their toes, they have been on their feet. Yes, there are challenges, but they take off more easily. When you support them with funding, they are able to turn it around. Now, widowhood is tough. I lost my husband 11 years ago. I was 42 years old. And I was a very busy lawyer. I had my side businesses. I had things I was doing. Yes, but I still face the challenges of raising children, giving birth to the child I was pregnant with. I have trained 2 engineers. As a matter of fact, I am in their house in Lagos. That's where I am joining this program from. Now I am relaxed. I am enjoying mommy this, mommy that, and they are taking care of me. What about the younger widows? We have widows that are 20-something years old, 30-something years old. We're the older ones. I am 53. We have to circle them and make sure that the vultures don't carry them, because there are vultures in the society. And now, beyond the support from widows going to widows, we are not going to sit and keep groaning and moaning that the non-widows are not helping, because they haven't walked the shoes, so they don't understand it. Now, I am interested in the laws, because we have all the widowhood laws. How powerful are those laws? How strong are those laws? I am writing my PhD thesis on widowhood and social conflict, looking at the Enugu State, the situation in Enugu State. And in the course of doing my proposal, I discovered that the Enugu State widowhood law hasn't really been tested in the courts. There's no judgment. I couldn't find one judgment. Maybe there is, but I didn't find. I was born in Enugu. I have lived there, well, almost all my life, except for the few years that I relocated out of the country. Now, how do we build widows that will have strong voice or voices to be able to stand for other widows? Because they have to be strong from girlhood. They have to be strong as married women and have the voice. And then into widowhood, that voice must not be silenced. I've always had a voice as a child. My father never stifled my voice. And so how are we raising our girls? Because widowhood might be staring them in the face. I am jumping into different topics because my mind is just jumping into it based on what I experience in the field. But I want us to take the message out there. There's this August meeting in Nigeria, Southeast Nigeria. Let us tell the ones who are still married and us who are widowed to raise our daughters differently, so that if they encounter widowhood, they will not be drowned. Widowhood is like a murky water with crocodiles and all sorts. It takes a whole lot to survive. You come out from the culture, the in-laws, the families of widows, some of them are toxic and treacherous. So not just the in-laws. And then you get into the finance. Look at the economy. A lot of widows are struggling to even feed once a day. And so I love this African Widows Summit. I love the fact that there's a focal point. And I love the fact that we are having this meeting. And I pray that we will have many more sessions. And out of these sessions will come out strong messages, so that the people will know that it's no more business as usual, and that we don't want to do widowhood like our mothers did widowhood. I don't want to be that dirty, sad-looking widow that everybody points at and says, oh, she looks like a widow. No, you can't catch me like that. I want us to raise widows that when they come out, people will be wondering, are they widows? So thank you so much for calling this meeting. Thank you so much for this summit. And I say hello to all my sisters across Africa. And I ask you, don't ever give up. Together, we can do this. And we have to stand together and in unity. Thank you so much.
Wow. So, it's like you planned it, as if you knew you were going to be the first speaker. I just want to say thank you so much, Gose. You are always ready.
I have no idea. When you called me up, I was like, oh my God.
And
I have
I thought I would throw you under the bus, but trust you, I know you. You can never be taken unawares. It's the basic one of the things that you said so pivotal is the fact that we will not do widowhood. Now we never expected it, but it has come. We must go. It's about a summit that will go spread the gospel, so to say, to our continent, or to the entire nations, or wherever we're going to go. Widowhood doesn't have to be that dirty, fearful, timid woman. No, we are bold. We must do something. I think you reiterated what Mama, our big mommy, that's our grandma. I call her grandma, not even big mommy. Taiwo Ajai-Lycett actually mentioned. So I'd like to say welcome before I bring in the next person. Very great women have come in. It's just right for me to introduce them and say welcome to them. I want to say welcome to Ambassador Adunke Olatunji, President of Tabitha Life Foundation. Welcome, and Dr. Mary Nkiruka Ebo. You are so welcome. And Kajuju Kimathi from Kenya. You are the founder of Together as One Kithrun. I hope I got it. Kithrun, or whatever. You say you're looking forward to an interactive session. I'm sure you are already enjoying it. Sisters, let's keep the narrative, let's keep the conversation very interesting. I like the fact that there is warmth in this room. So much warmth, and I'm so grateful that I am here listening. So I'll get on, giving on the microphone, relinquishing it, as it were, to another great ambassador, a woman that I had followed, I think, almost 4 years now. We met on Instagram. I moderated something years ago, and she happened to be one of the speakers. And I got stuck with her because I watched how she's been growing. There is literally no day that you go on Instagram that you don't see Diana doing something worth the while. Like I said before, she's a Widows' Right Ambassador and National Widows Leader. And of course, we will welcome her right away as she gives her speech 5 minutes before. Ladies, I'm giving you only 5 minutes because there are going to be questions thrown at you. So let's do this 5 minutes. Diana, over to you. I relinquish the microphone.
Thank you so much. I'm very sorry I'm not able to use my video because I am with my mom. She's seeing her doctor in the next few. But I'm very excited, and congratulations, my sisters, and hope you are the hope for widows. God bless you so much. I also want to acknowledge my sister Kajuju Kimathi from Kenya. You're doing a good job, and thank you for joining us here. I had requested if she could speak on my behalf if I happen to leave, but thank you for this opportunity. Diana Kamande from Kenya is the founder of Come Together Widows and Orphans organization, an organization that champions for the rights of women like ourselves, women who have been through it all, women who have cried, women who know how much it feels to lose a loved one, and even to for the in-laws. And as our sister Gozi said, even some of your own family members can turn against you. I say it is true. So what we have been doing, because the face of widows in Kenya has been always related to poverty. The face of poverty has been seen by so many people in Kenya, like it's the widows who have been wearing the face of poverty. And we decided we were going to change this narrative. It was not the truth. It was something very, very different, because widows are just women like any other women. Why do you treat a woman who was once in marriage like you, maybe for those ones whom we have interacted with and already in marriage, how they could look at the widows like husband snatchers? That was something that really, really pained me. And I know it's still the story to date in many African countries. I've seen my sister Brenda, who has invited me to Zambia. I found the story even in Zambia was the same. I've been to Tanzania. The story is the same, that widows are husband snatchers. Who said that widows cannot be go to shower, wear one of their nicest dresses, step out in their high heels and looking good, and no one is saying that they're out there to steal their husbands? And sometimes I I just become mad and I ask, who said that then you keep those husbands and you should not keep those husbands in a store and maybe lock them in? Because when you look at widows like a threat, you just get to know how much we struggle, because the life of widows is full of struggles. To take your children to school is a struggle. To buy yourself a new dress or a new cloth is struggle. To pay your house rent is a struggle. Why don't you struggle like these women? Because widows struggle twice as they struggle twice, because the women who are married, they know by the end of the day there is a husband who is bringing something home. But for a woman who is widowed, you work twice. You work for whatever your husband would have been working and bring that coin at home. Then you work as a woman. So you work two portions, as a husband and as a wife, and because you're all alone. When it comes to decision making, we make decision as women who are just single female head of households. We have nobody else to turn to. So we make decisions sometimes, and you hear people saying, you know, the reason as to why her children are not performing in school, you know why the children are behaving this way, it's because they are children of a widow, children who don't have a father. This is the story across the whole world. Actually, it's not even Africa. The other day I was in Sweden, and this lady who had hosted me is also a widow from Kenya. And she was telling me the situation even in Sweden is also worse, just because you are also a foreigner. I'm telling you, the widows, we have to change the narrative of widowhood. We are the people who have seen the light, and we are the people to advocate and raise our voices more and more. What we have been able to do in this space, and I thank our sister Gozi. I know Gozi, we knew each other, I think, way back in 2013. We have been able to draft a policy that we have already put on the desk of our Principal Secretary Gender, State Department for Gender Affairs. We are looking forward to this policy to inform legislation. I started a Valentine's dinner for widows. You know, the reason I started this one is because I sat down and I asked myself, every other woman who is dating, who is in marriage, has someone to take her out during the dinner. Who takes the widows to the dinner? Who takes the widows to go and celebrate? And you know, we started this day, and funny thing, even some of the new ministers in our government, they were thinking this is a day ratified by the UN. So they didn't want even to miss the dinner, because they thought this is a UN ratified day and they should not be missing. Actually, during this dinner, because our government is new, we got this new government late 2022. The government is new, so no one wanted to miss the event because they thought it was abomination. And when I sat with one of our cabinet secretary, whose mother is also a widow, and that's how I also get people in government. I'll go dig deep and get to know your story. So when I come to you to seek for help or to seek for legislation for widows, because I'm really trying to lobby because of this policy, I already know your story. I know you in and out. If you're a cabinet secretary, I know if your mother is a widow, or if your father was a widower and he remarried. So this is how I have been able to get hold of the government. It is so easy to get the government when you know the stories of these people. Our Principal Secretary Gender will be presenting at the Commission Status for Women in New York. How I got her to become a speaker is after I visited one of the groups in a county called Nyeri, and I found the mother was the chair lady of our widows group. I went back to her and I told her, you know, you are a daughter of a widow. You should be. She told me, this is the reason I support you, but I support you undercover. I told her you should come out, because widows' children have seen it all growing with their mothers who are widowed. Now you have to step up as a daughter of a widow, and we need your voice now on this decision-making table. And I read to her Esther 4:14. You are in this house, you are on this position for a time like this. If you keep quiet, the widows of this country, including your mother, will not get justice. And you know, by the time I was leaving her office, I don't know whether she was about to cry or she was still laughing. She had mixed reactions. And that's how she became a voice to lobby government. Kajuju is here and she can tell you, this is the time we even, for the first time, this is our 7th dinner, we had the advisor to the president coming to represent the president in our dinner, just because we shared with this, I shared with the cabinet secretary, your mother is a widow and she's in our group. The principal secretary, your mother is a widow. And for this time, you're in this house, you're in this space to raise the voice because of the voiceless widows. Now, the combination made her even to reach to the highest office and say, hey, there is a group of organized women in our country who should not be ignored. You know, when I went for a courtesy call in her office, she made this call when I was seated there. Then immediately the president's advisor left. She called me and she told me, you know what? I've presented your grievances to the president and I'm looking forward to him becoming your chief guest in the next event for widows, because he is also a son of a widow. Now, you see, this is how widowhood is. For some reasons, it's a place and a space where women are crying, women are not being recognized. But at the same time, it is the space that God has given us that we can reach to the high and mighty of our different countries. So for me, I have seen it work, and I wanted to use approach so that all the African widow leaders who are here, you can use this as a trick. For me, it is a trick and it is working for me. First of all, to investigate and know the background of this person. Even if it is someone's sister who is a widow, I will come and I will even get a point of telling you, I'm so sorry, actually. I even came to realize that your sister is a widow and she lives in this county, and this is the coordinator in that county who is taking care of widows. Are you really willing to get her connected? Is she healed? Does she need psychosocial support? Does she need any legal aid? I use that as an approach. By the time I'm leaving those offices, I'm telling you, my sisters, I become the love of their lives, because sometimes they try to put me off. And when you try to put me off, now you become my best friend, because the way you're trying to put me off is the way I'm going to bring you in, and bring you in completely, that you'll be singing this song of widows. So we have been able to do quite a lot besides the policy. We were able to launch our first circle during the dinner. We have also made the dinner, it's not just coming, having fun. It's coming, having fun, photo shoots, eating in a 5-star hotel. Widows spending in the capital city of Kenya, Nairobi, those ones who are coming from the villages. This time I was able to bring a widow who told me she was born in one of the islands in Kenya, Rusinga Island, got married in Rusinga Island, but husband died in Rusinga Island. The daughter has gotten married in Rusinga Island, telling me it's my first time in the last 61 years. For me, I have stepped in Nairobi for the first time. So I can imagine the joy and the feeling. And then in these events is where we launch now what we are doing. So this year we were able to launch our first Widows Circle. And Kajuju Kimathi is here. She's the chair for the Nairobi County Widows Circle, because I didn't want to lead everywhere. So I just decided to step down in the circle leadership. And this is where we are now looking forward to having very huge support. Our women representative for Nairobi, she told me once everything about the circle is done, she is pouring in 1 million Kenya shillings into the circle. The cabinet secretary also promised me, and he told me, the moment you're done with everything, please come to the office, bring the chair. And because my mother is a widow, and in honor of her as a widow, I'm also going to put in another million Kenya shillings. So this is how we have been able to demystify widowhood in Kenya. As much as people are looking at widowhood as something that is very, very bad, we have demystified widowhood and even have been able to bring it even in some of the churches. Like I know quite a number of churches that are even planning to celebrate the International Widows Day in different capacity, just because some of us have spoken and we have become a voice. I look forward to a very, very great engagement. I look forward to those who are attending CSW. We can interact more. And thank you so much, my sister Hope. Continue becoming that hope for widows. Regina, God bless you. Thank you so much for following me, and everyone. God bless you. I love you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very interesting ideas. And of course, like you said, is a trick. And I don't think anybody is sitting here not picking that trick. It's a free for all. Anyone can pick it up. Anyone. If you are interested in the growth of a widow, take advantage. I call it emotional blackmail, on the soft one, talking about it lightly. Just find a way of, you see, the truth of it is what she just said is that we have not touched what matters to them. Because if we do, or when we do, we'll find out so many people will join us. Some are embarrassed for no reason, and I don't know why. But then look at how our dear sister did it. And now we are beginning to see what used to be the face of poverty from the angle of widows today is now what every other person sees as a bride, you know, the bride that everyone wants to court. Talking about the church is already organizing International Widows Day. It's such an, I mean, I call it a refreshing presentation that we are hearing from our dear sister in Kenya. Thank you so much, Diana, for what you're doing. We pray that God keeps helping you to do more. Of course, if you're just joining us, I know that there are some other widow advocate founders that are here. Let me just take a bit to welcome. I think I saw a gentleman that loves the widows. Walkman, is it? Walkman, yes, he's here. I think I saw him, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Willie Walkman is here from the Advocacy for Widows Empowerment Foundation, ADWEF, here in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on this Africa Widows Summit. We are so glad. It's been an amazing time so far, and I will be calling on before our main keynote speaker. She ought to have done a keynote, but then don't worry, our agenda is still following. We would make sure the mama comes because we want to give her some time to talk. I'll be coming back to, we're going to our dear Gladys Viban, a gender and youth development consultant, and of course, a motivational speaker. If she's here, may I relinquish the microphone to you, Gladys? Is Gladys here?
She's here.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So let's.
I can see her picture, but she's just it has internet.
Maybe yes, maybe she's having a little bit of glitch.
Yeah, connection glitch.
Yeah, I can see comments. I can see comments. Thank you so much. Bumi Ojo is saying, wow, I love your trick and strategy. And a lot of people are appreciating you, Diana. Rashida Musa Makadis is saying thank you. And of course, Rashida also said she likes or she loves the strategy in getting all the powerful men on board to support your work. Truly speaking, we must get them. Mary is saying, I'm proud of you, Mama Gozie. She's actually thanking you for that speech. Gozie, remember, she's the one that spoke to us. Meanwhile, there is a connect if you want to reach out to Diana. She sent some message to me. Okay, it's for me. It's directly to me. Thank you, Diana. I really appreciate you. Okay, are we ready, Gladys? Is she there?
No. Gladys, are you here? She's here. I think she's having a network problem.
Oh my goodness, because I want to find out if Tara is here. If Gladys isn't here, let's move over back to Tara. I don't know whether Tara has come. Is she coming? Okay. Okay, Gladys, do us a favor by dropping a comment so that we know the situation.
So whether you're hearing us.
Yes.
Sarah, if you're here, please drop your comments so that you're here.
We want to know. Because I can see a Gladys with a video on. So I'm wondering if she's on seat, you know. I can see her video on.
Maybe her network is having. You
I
can
want
move
to
on and see her. You can move
so
on and open it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Hope. So I need to go back to Mama. I don't know whether Mommy, Grandma, our own delectable Mama Lycett. I trust her. This woman is an Amazon. So I'm coming back to you, Mama. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you were not here at the beginning, Madam Hope engaged this wonderful African queen earlier in the day. There was also a little bit of our profile read by our first moderator talking about Franklin. Nobody just, if you do not know Mama Lycett, I don't know. It's either you're not in Africa or Nigeria, especially we Nigerians or something. So you should go and repent if you don't know her. It's an offense not to know this great Amazon. So I'll be relinquishing the microphone back to you, Mama. Like I would say always, I want to say again to your face, I love you, Ma. I love you. I read your story. I read something about when you were 80, and it was such a mixed feeling for me. I remember reading about how your life went. It looks as if your life nosedived and then you picked up, and look at you at 83. We want you to tell us a little bit about how you came to this position, and then what are the things that are keeping you going? I know you've told us, like the Bible had already said, we are God's. What are you doing that makes you so comfortable with yourself that you are asking us to bring it on? The more you do something, the more you want to do more. And then you are giving us assignments, we that are behind you. I will be 53 later in the month. And I look at you, that is almost 30 years older than I am. But I haven't gotten a bit of what you've achieved. I am a widow now. I want to get a secret to what is making you who you are now. The microphone is yours, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for pouring such encomiums on me. I appreciate that. And may we live long enough for us to know one another better. Because what has happened is that I haven't traveled this journey of life. We've touched lives. And I think one thing I want to say to us is that there is life after death. And that widowhood is a natural business, if I can call it that. It happens to the best of us. And first of all, you realize that you are not alone. When I went to a hospital and I saw my husband dead, I've been widowed twice, incidentally. And I saw, I was widowed once when I was about 18, 17. I was a teenage mother. And then the father died in an accident. And it's what you're talking about, my life, is a testimony to the power of women. It's not about me. I've learned all of this has made me know that life isn't about the person. It's not about me. And I know that the secret of success, how did I get here, is knowing that it's not about you and giving service. When you give service, when you think about other people, when you don't make life about yourself, then you keep going. It's very difficult not to be particular about self when you're hurting. One day, when my husband just died, I opened the front door. I came to the front of the house, and there was blazing sunshine. And I thought to myself, I'm feeling so wretched, but look at the sun. The sun will always shine. The sun will always come out. I knew that, and I hung on to that. So I'm just a speck in the system, in the firmament, if you like. And that God will always do whatever it is that you put your mind to. And I said, carry me. I'm not at all religious, but I know that I'm here for some reason and by some force. So I said, well, when things are going fine, I'm okay. But when they're not going to so sound, I had better still retain the attitude of gratitude, because that shows the maker, the creator, this universe, that I know my place and I know who carries me. Widows, you should know who carries you. You may not see the person, but you should start feeling. You must realize, as I said earlier on, and this is not woo-woo at all. You are spirit. You are not the body you're carrying around. This is not very cerebral discussion, but it is real. We are spirit, and no shaking. Carry on the journey. I took it that my husband handed me the gauntlet. He threw down the gauntlet, said, pick it up and go. So that is the spirit. That's how I've been going. Pick it up and go. Of course, life, whether you're a widow or you're not, really, life isn't, what shall I say, a bed of roses. We live in a war zone. Life is war. We should accept that. And therefore, we strategize. Some of the things we're discussing today and doing today, it's about strategy to face the vicissitudes of life. Isn't that so? That's what we're doing. So I decided, I'm an actor, and I said, Shakespeare said the world is a stage, and we're all actors on that stage. So I live my life like a play. I don't play act. I live my life like it's a play. This is a scene I'm going through. And therefore, if I'm going to be in that scene, it has to be the best of the best that I have to give. All the time I have to give my best. It's about respecting your world, respecting the people you deal with, even respecting your situation. Because I said to myself when I was going through all this wahala, God must know that I can take this burden. That's why it's a great respect and honor God has done me. That's why I've been giving this, that I can overcome. So I must face my widowhood. So I'm not looking for anybody to help me. But the person who helps me is there. The person, your real help is you. It's in your head. It's not your sister-in-law. It's not your brother-in-law. It's not the family. You are in charge. If there's anything I want to say to everybody, is that, yeah, we're not an island unto ourselves, but essentially we are alone. Own that. Accept that you have to take this journey by yourself, and then strategize to see how you can get to your destination, which you don't know because it's a continuing journey. We are always a work in progress. And carry on. Don't depend on anybody. Nobody owes you a living. Nobody owes you anything. No moaning and groaning and whinging. Bravery. And that's what women do well. We're courageous people. We're very strong people. But I would never want to be a man. I think we're so made, beautifully, forcefully made, that we can do it. The only time we don't do it is when we shut down our solar plexus by being fearful, by doubting, being afraid, thinking we cannot do it, because there is nothing that is impossible to do. What makes things happen, you make things happen. The individual makes things happen. So I said to myself, this make things happen. And so how do I get this? Arm yourself with knowledge, education. I'm so pleased to be in your midst because I'm in the midst of Amazons. You are also educated. You are go-getters. That's what a woman is about. That's what being a woman is about. You're go-getters. We are invincible. We create this world. Do you know that? We make this world. We support our husbands. If your husband is successful, you own it because you supported him. You raised the children, the population of this world. We will them, we nurture them. So we have to be very careful about the signals we're giving. I like Ms. Commander, is it? Yeah, draw people in and tell them, show them ask them to accept responsibility for this society. Your mother is a widow. Your auntie is a widow, this, that, and the other. It's a most natural thing. It's not a disease. It's the force of nature. People die, but life goes on. When I walked into that sunshine that day, that blazing sunshine, I'll never forget. I said to myself, get on with it, girl. Get on with it. Just as when I walked into the hospital and I saw a sheet over my husband's head, I took it down. I said, you're gone, huh? Well, God, whatever it is, this is true. This is, I can't carry this. You're going to carry me through. Over 30 years on, one foot in front of the other, I arrive at this stage and you're telling me, oh, what a great woman she is. You are the great women. That's who you are. That is the profile of a female. Not to give up, but to keep going. We're builders, we're nurturers. No, and then, but we must not abandon our own strength. We must not underestimate our strength. I've been through the God knows what. But as I have a way of asking people, look at my skin. Do you see any blemish as a result of whatever anybody did to me? No. I don't blame anybody. I don't pass judgment. Judge not that ye be not judged. For with what measure you measure unto somebody, it will be measured unto you. So I don't. I love, love, love. This is what we are. We are all here because of love. That's how powerful love is. That's divinity. That's your divinity. That's what a woman is. And that's why I'm so proud to be here. All I am going to give in this so-called, it's not a talk, it's not a chat between colleagues, between women. It's just, I'd like you to recognize your divinity, that you are very, very powerful. That we're powerful, we can do it. It is difficult, yes. But if it's easy, what's the point of doing it? What's the joy in that? The value is in to know that you can walk through the fire, walk through the furnace, and come out refined, renewed, refreshed, strengthened, empowered. Empowerment is what we need to talk to one another, to empower our women with education, with, as our sister, the lawyer said, skill, man, skill. And let's forget this business of you're married, you're highly educated, and somebody says you should sit at home and don't do anything, and then you do something, and then he dies. And you know, have you noticed that our men die young? They're very delicate creatures. And you know you're going to, more likelihood that you will survive him. Arm yourself with your survival kit. Get some skills. I know somebody has to raise the children, but our mothers have been doing it for eons of time. They raise the children, they're going to farm, they're doing this, that, and the other. So what are we talking about? What's so extraordinary about what we do? That's why we're Amazons. We multitask. I keep repeating myself. We built this world. And that's what one thing that I will say, whether we're widows or not, I think we should take responsibility for our society, the collapse of our society. We're sort of leaving everything to men. We are the builders. Don't relinquish your responsibility to men. And to the extent that we've taken a back seat, you see the chaos around us. You see the carnage. You see the lack of humanity, lack of thinking, totally unwoman-like. I think we should, with widowhood, because we've now seen it. You've had the man, he's gone. Yes, he brought an income in, but who was raising the children anyway? You were. The children hardly saw him. So what's the big deal? Let's carry on our work. Let's empower our women to carry on bearing the burden we've always borne. It is not new. We've always borne this burden of carrying the nation, of carrying the society. I don't believe that a woman is any second-class citizen. I don't care what patriarchal, traditional nonsense wants to assign that to women. You guys know how powerful you are. So let's get the system to support widows, support women in that state, because that's just a state that you're in. That doesn't emasculate, if I can use the word, emasculate women. Widowhood can knock you, yeah, you can shake, but you can write yourself. Look at you guys, you're all widows. Look at you, see how you're blooming. See how you're blooming. It's possible. That's what we need to tell the younger ones, that a day at a time, a step at a time, a journey of 1,000 miles, the Chinese say, takes one step. So we're taking the step of correcting this, of getting people to recognize the value that we add to society, the power that we can bring, the circle and the nurture that we can give to our society. Thank you for your
Wow, 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 wow. Oh, sisters, I expected that the chat room is blazing with fire emojis, clap, and everything you can think of just to say thank you to this great mother of Africa. We are never in dearth of powerful women, reasonable women, supportive mothers. We can never. We'd like to say thank you, Mama. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's an ovation we're giving you, that thunderous one, to say thank you for this few minutes that we are going to chew it, regurgitate it, and make sure that we make use of them. It's not just about listening. We heard you, and we heard you loud and clear. You know, Goze, Madam Hope, how did you see her? Because on a very light note, but I'm serious.
The truth is this, Mommy, we are going to do this again.
We can't.
No, we're going to do it. We're going to do it again, Mommy. We're going to do it in the 1st of April or any day. And then we are going to do it wide on social network, so that will be a different discussion. Then we are bringing it to widows and women, so that because I mean, it's going to take a real time. I think we call it a day out with Mommy Ajai.
Lycett, I agree with you.
The ambassador of the African widows, the first ambassador of the Union of the African Widows. That's what we're going to do. I think Gladys is here, Regina. Gladys, are you here?
Oh, fantastic. If Gladys is here, why not? Let her do her 5 minutes so that we'll give the floor to every other person.
Because people, Regina, let the audience get it. I mean, let's remember where we're going to, the African Widows Summit.
Yes,
one of the things I always say is that widowhood now, beyond the motivational personal package Mommy has given us, we need that is our self-empowerment. No matter how we empower ourselves, we are still going to need the society to allow us to live that empowerment fully. So that's what the summit is all about. And hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Hope. I agree with you. We needed to hear Mama on that, because we needed that, that push that everyone that needs to be, to hear and to empower ourselves mentally should hear. And of course, we started off with some of the ideas that Diana has given us, some of the tricks that we do. But sisters, let me come back to the fact that this is a summit it has been a dream, an idea that is already growing to have a specific document that would be unifying for all African widows, so that every government within the African continent will read it and work with it. That has always been the dream of Wasim. So this is why we are here today. I do not know whether Gladys is here, so that I'll ask her to give her own message, 5 minutes, so that we open up to every other ambassador that is here. Because I know we have representatives from Cameroon. We have some, apart from Diana from Kenya, there are other people from Kenya, and of course in Nigeria. Let's agree, because we are coming out with a document at the end of the day.
Is Gladys waiting for her? I think we have another person. Sorry, so I think we have Nicole. Nicole is from Cameroon too. Maybe you call her.
Oh, right. Nicole, go ahead. You've done it. You've done that for me. Please let me relinquish the microphone to Nicole. Nicole, you have 5 minutes. Let's hear what you have for us in order for us to come out with a solution for the African Widows Summit. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Hope. I mean, I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited to be part of this. The wonderful things I've been hearing, you know, it is just so, Mama Taiwo, it is a privilege to be in the same platform with you. It's such a privilege. I've been watching you since, and I'm like, okay, I'm on the same platform with her, and this is so awesome. This is so awesome. And the conversation is so in line with my thinking concerning widowhood, because I don't think widows should see themselves as victims, and we need to bring together a set of women to change this narrative, especially in Cameroon. I'm Nicole from Cameroon, as Hope has indicated, and she's the one that I've been talking with. I've been a widow 9 years today. Yes, I've been 9. No, not today. In January.
Okay. We are giving you a standing ovation.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that what we are doing is very, very important, because my experience of widowhood is different from the experience of those around me, and I can say being educated being an educated person really contributed to that, because there are many things that as a person I stood up and I refused that I will not participate in, like all the traditional practices that are expected and all of that. And you know, by the time my husband died, like my brother-in-law was already like, okay, he's going to take charge of the properties. I just watched, and I went ahead and I followed the law, and you know, everything went in place and everything fell in place. So being educated and being upfront is very important in this. And one of the things that I did is, like, I'm joining this platform under the Mike Yanu Foundation. It was named after my husband, actually. It was created after him, the legacy, because I think that the woman I am is because he contributed greatly to that. And I think that if we were to bring men on board and engage men, there are many of these practices that will not be allowed, because the lifestyle we led made it impossible for any other person to maltreat me. I think that played a very important role in my experience with widowhood. So it is not just the top stories, it is the success stories as well. The success stories that come with collaboration, especially with men. Because I think that when we work in collaboration with men, there are lots of things that we are going to change. And that is where the Yanu Foundation is really standing. When I started it, we were working a lot with women, with single mothers, with widows, with children. And then one of the things that we found out was that the women were always complaining, especially in the context of Cameroon and in the context of the Anglophone crisis that is currently going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole from Cameroon. Thank you for giving us a little bit of sneak peek of what you're experiencing in Cameroon. If I heard you very well, Nicole is talking about, she's also advocating for men being involved. And I agree, absolutely. I think we should note some of these things that will find a way, whether men in government and men in, trying to make sure that when these men are on the same page with us, I have come to realize it. I recall my own husband, before he died, there were some of the things that we would casually talk about, some of the practices that he would say, God forbid, he would jokingly say, he said, I will wake up, I'll fight you, I will fight them. You know, when I'm talking about shaving my hair, talking about his brothers taking my, and he would say, I will wake up. He said, I will not let them sleep, and we would laugh at it. But, when I lost him, it was clear, even the family knew that this one is a no-go area. And the fact that, like Nicole said, education is important. Once you know what to do, nobody would take advantage of you. Like I would always say, once you know the rules of the game, you are likely not to lose that game. Many of the widows we have across the continent have no clue what is going on in their family, their husband's life. And so when the inevitable happens, they become completely dropped in the ocean and cannot swim out. So I think I thank you, Nicole, for adding that voice. And we are noting the fact that we would find a way to go about making men part of this. If you are a widow organization and you don't have men, think twice. That's just what I would say. Think twice about it. Okay, I think Ojo is finding it difficult to unmute. I don't know why. The advice is that you should. Bumi Ojo have been trying to talk, and I don't know why Okay, Gladys, you raised your hand finally. Can you unmute? The microphone is yours. Gladys, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. You raised your hand. All we need you to do is unmute.
Mute.
Can you unmute so that you're able to talk?
Yes, she's saying that she can't unmute.
Wow. So what could be the problem? Can the host help her? I am not the
I've
host.
tried. I don't have the I can't unmute her. I can only ask her to unmute herself. I can't actually unmute her. Do you get what I'm saying?
So, ma'am, Gladys, I'm sure you know how the Zoom works. Just click on the microphone. Let's assume that it could be from your end, ma'am.
It's from my end because everybody is.
So
I'm sure she was.
Click on the microphone.
Can unmute themselves without me unmuting them.
Exactly, yeah. I noticed that. So please click. I want you to click on the sign, the microphone emoji. Sign. You should be able to
I've tried to unmute myself to know I've failed. I don't know why. Okay, let's other people look other people with questions, contributions.
Father Bumiojo is already on. Please go ahead, ma'am. You have just 3-4 minutes. We want to just consider the time. Bumiojo, okay. Go ahead, ma'am. Bumiojo, you are muted already. So go ahead, ma'am. I can see you. Okay, Nicole, you are explaining to us. Bumi, you unmuted at some point. Okay, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. Okay. And thank you for the explanation. I think there is a particular issue with the network. Nicoline is explaining to us that in the Cameroons, that being issue, we had that issue in Nigeria a few days ago with a particular network provider. So I would, ladies and gentlemen, do me this favor. Just raise your hand and I would ask you to unmute so that we have your voice. I have a lot of people here that I know have something to say. We want to come out with a document, even if it's a draft, you know, a document that would hold and say, this is the direction we want to follow with regards with what we want the nations, the African nations or government should do for the widows. Please just raise your hand. Let's not waste our time. If you are not ready to talk, maybe I would do it. I'm very good at that. That's my job. All right, it's my job. Bumi Ojo, I can see your microphone on. If it's a mistake, please mute it. If it's not, please go ahead. You raised your hand also now. I have given you the floor. I'm doing that again. Go ahead, ma'am. Madam Bumi Ojo. I've seen the micro, it's you're talking or some sound coming from you.
It's network.
And I can see her. Okay, I think she's touching. So just move away so that your hands do not touch you've raised your hand severally and I'm wondering. And I've seen Bumi Ojo twice. I've seen it twice. So can I also give the microphone also to Doreen Kajuju Kimathi? I need us to talk because we're not here to waste our time. We want to come out with a document. Doreen Kajuju, are you here? Unmute and let's hear you. Women, make una no for my hand. I'm speaking pidgin here. No for my hand. We cannot have the summit and not have women speaking out. I made sure that our speakers spoke, for just a period of a time so that we have every other person. Okay, is Anita ready? Anita Tampe, are you ready? Do you have something to tell us? Anita, what do you have in your mind that you would suggest that we should take to the government? Okay, let me move on to the next person because I've seen many of us making comments in the chat
comment
room.
section.
Yes, let me call Rashidat Musa Mukadis. Rashidat, you should say something here because you've been dropping great codes. So I expect you to say something, ma'am. The microphone is yours, ma'am.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello, ma'am.
We can hear you.
Very well.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Rashida Musa, joining you from Women, Child, Youth, Health and Education Initiative here in Bauchi, Nigeria. Actually, I was very glad to be here with you in the summit of widowhood collaborations. So actually, Mama have said it all, even though with all the support and with all the encouragement words that she shared with us, and with all the experience and scenarios that she shared with us, I hope, and I will assure you in our next picture, in our next year plan, even though we have already have a developed plan for this year, which all these advocacies to the government, advocacies to the change makers concerning the issue of widowhood experiences for a change. We are with the hope in the next year future plan will include all these advices and words of encouragement and the techniques, strategies shared with by Diana I hope, inshallah, will make it to become true for widows not to be affected, for widows to be included in all our engagement, in all our areas of coverage, in all our programming, for every widows to be heard, for every voices of widows to be heard, for other women that are living at home, for them to move in with their life. Even though our mothers suffered the most, they felt that they see the world that it has come to an end, for them not to become a somebody, for them not to move on with their life. So this is a take up for us. By God willing, we'll see what we can do. So thank you. I was not on seat when you called me then, so I rushed to come back and speak on what the time given to me. So I'm very much grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. The fact that Rashida is talking from the northern part of Nigeria is absolutely refreshing to me, because I know we have peculiarities within the northern, axis. So Rashida has picked something, and she is giving us her word. Rashida, we are going to follow you. We're going to follow you to make sure that this is implemented. At least you've given us a promise, your word, that by next year, the change makers will be met. And we're ever ready to be invited to, to break down this idea so that they can understand. Thank you. I think someone is telling me that finally she has unmuted. Bumi Ojo, I have two Bumi Ojos, and I don't know which one.
Gladys can go on. I can see Gladys' face.
Gladys,
Yes, Gladys,
finally. I don't know why my name is showing as Bumi Ojo.
Oh my goodness.
This has been one crazy day.
That's fine. It's network.
I'm telling you. I
Please,
am so dreadfully sorry. Regina, thank you so much for your patience. You just did you're doing a fantastic job, moderating this panel. Hope, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on board. The new kid on the block, like I could say. My first time meeting all these wonderful and amazing and phenomenal women. A big shout out to Mama T, who has just galvanized us. So Regina, you were talking about jumping out of your screen. It's the same exact sentiment that I have. I have just been fed with all the information, all the rich experiences from all the women, powerful widows on the African continent. I say bravo to you all, and you are all queens and you are all amazing. I come from a long lineage of widows. My mother was widowed at 52. My mother-in-law was widowed at 60. And I was widowed at about 33 or so. I've been a widow for 24 years. And we have just been trying to put the widow's agenda on the gender agenda, because sometimes when we talk about gender empowerment, we forget to know that there are different breakdowns and components when we're looking at the gender component. If a woman is suffering from discrimination in general and stereotyping in the society, a widow suffers that 5 times more. And therefore, particular attention must be paid to this segment of the population. I was reading up somewhere, and statistics show that 1 in 10 women in Africa are widowed. Now, this is a huge population. And if we do not tap into the resource and the capacities of this population, we're going to miss out on the gender empowerment we are talking about and the gender equality that we all seek. So I was thinking that, for governments and for us as this union, we don't only need to do the data, but we have to do a data analysis. That means for every country, when we have the data, we stratify the data in women in different fields or different walks of life. So you have widows in politics, widows in health sector, widows in business, and so on and so forth. Now that gives us the leverage for when we want to source for funding, we can say, for example, we are supporting widows in the science, technology, and engineering and math fields, so that that funding is going to go directly across the board to widows that fit in this category. If we do not stratify it, then we are going to be running around like herding cats, like we say, and we don't really get anything palpable done. So we need to have a serious strategic planning to map out what it is that we want for the widows in all of these different sectors. I'm pushing for awareness raising, advocacy, and action. So these are the three components that we're looking at. I listened to Ngozi, and Ngozi was talking about the legal texts that are already available, but are they being pushed forward in our parliaments, in our senates, so that they become law and they are enacted, especially those that concern the harmful traditional practices that impede women from coming into the fullness of themselves. We are talking about just a couple of months ago, one of my daughter's adopted daughter lost her husband at 26, right? And definitely we're pushing it. So you need to start your life all over. But there's this stigma that is attached to her because of the traditional custom that says that when a man dies, it is a woman that is responsible for killing their husband. And so she goes around with this stigma on her, and she cannot engage again in the dating scene. For those who are in governance, they start looking at you sideways. I just applaud the idea of this Valentine's Day for widows, putting us on the map, telling people that we are human, we have feelings. They say in Pidgin in Cameroon that no be na carpenter clean me. That means you're not a piece of wood. So we need to highlight the humanness of widows. That is one thing that we need to do. A second thing that we need to do is to look at the psychosocial health, the emotional health of widows. Because if we are not strong emotionally, like Mama T was saying, just galvanizing us, letting us know, Mama T, I want to call you that, you have what I call the Teflon effect, the bounce back ability, the comeback ability. No matter whatever is thrown at you, you can come back 100 and 1,000,000 times over. I say widows are like seeds. You bury us, we will sprout and we will grow. I thank you, Mama T, for giving back that energy and putting that energy back into the lives of widows. We must take this message out. I wrote somewhere on the chat that we are enough. People keep telling us that we are nothing because we have lost our husbands, the society, we are downtrodden, we cannot do and we cannot do. We have to start changing this narrative. And I am so, so happy, Hope, that you are at the fore of this with so many powerful women to raise the voices of widows across the board. I was sharing with Hope that women, we are born into a culture of silence. We were supposed to be seen and not to be heard. That has changed over time. But now we need more women to raise their voices. I found my voice and I am using my voice. And I want every single widow to use that voice to sound the message that widows are here as an integral part of society. You cannot push us aside. We have to stop it. I keep saying widows should just go mad. And go mad, I mean, go make a difference. Not only making a difference, but being the difference. Let's go mad, okay? They will think we are crazy, but yeah, let's go make that difference. Let us be the metal of gender equality in all our countries. We have what it takes. We know what to do. Let us do it. And when I come to the psychosocial context, I was talking about emotional health. My dear sisters, this is the one thing that keeps us down. We are not emotionally well and strong in our minds because of the traumatic situations that we are living in our societies. I am a mother of 3 daughters. And my youngest was about 9 years old when the dad passed. And I raised them. And I am a proud mother to say that they are strong women in society today, because we set the pace and we set the example, but also because we are standing on the strong shoulders of women like Mama T, of women like my mother, who started running a radio program in Cameroon called Calling the Women. I don't know how many years ago. For 30 years, she ran this program, that women should come into the fullness of their beingness, of their knowingness, and of their amazingness. Until we start changing that narrative and getting us to think of how amazing we are, we cannot make any headway. So our emotional health is definitely one of the big things that we need to do. Again, money is the key. Women in entrepreneurship, widows in entrepreneurship, widows in business. This is what is going to push the envelope and move the dial in the right direction. Because, my dear sisters, without money, we ain't nothing. Without money, we cannot do anything. So we need to strengthen the network of widows in business. That is where the game changer is going to start. Because once you have the money, then you have the leverage to speak. They say money speaks. Yep, money does speak. So let's get that economic empowerment component going. Again, I will end on the note of, may we all find our voices. May we all use our voices. May we stop listening to the negative voices that are sounding in our heads, and may we go out and make a difference. Let's go mad. And I close with my mantra that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So let's go lighting all the candles of widows around the African continent and around the world. I thank you, and may God bless you and bless you and bless you. And I love you.
Love you more. Love you more. So much.
Wow. Regina, I mean, I think the crazy one, you know, one of the things I will say to us is that, you know, there's always a time. Mm-hmm. If I tell you how I met Gladys, you know, it's so unfortunate that she will not be in New York, because I would have used her a lot in New York. It was one of a friend I met, and because we have been reaching out, she said it, let's use our voices. Regina has voice, Hope has voice, Glad has voice, our big mommy has the biggest voice. There is voices. I mean, one of the things I asked, the invisible, am I invisible, Regina? Regina, are you invisible? You know, how do we sit down and be collecting this name? And if this Gladys, I'm just seeing her physically for the first time, and looking at her, there's no way you can say in her country is that she is invisible. Invisible women, invisible problem. That's what they call widows. Yet, we have widows that are big, large, you know, prominent for us to see, but for one funny reason, we have kind of allowed our individuals, what I beg us widows. This March, on the 5th of March, exactly, I mean, my life is March. If I tell you people the lineup of God did with me 30 years ago and what he's doing with me 30 years after. This year is exactly 30 years. And we said for some years now, we have individually been doing something. The time has come for us to cut our individualistic action. The goal of SDG that had clicked on me is goal 17, partnership to the goal. That is the only way that we can change these stories. Because other than that, I say it and I have no fear about it, even in the empowerment of widows, there's disenfranchisement, there's exploitation. And so many people are standing on it because I am sitting down here and not saying, Mama Ajai that will go and meet and come and pull her to bring her voice so that we can change this is not. Gladys, Regina, all of us are individualizing, stretching the thing. And if we come back and sit together and bring our voice and scream it loud enough, because it's louder than everybody will wake up. There are, Mami Ajai made good examples. Structural things that can be done for widows, even in our most remotest communities, to be able to stand and empower themselves. That is what we are talking about. Structural activities. It is no longer about sharing bread, rice, and beans. It is about mopping up this money, mopping up the NGOs, create a minimum, what is it called? Loan bank that these widows can walk in, that is selling gari in her village or rice. She can walk in and pick 50,000 naira and do her trade and pay back. She can walk in and have some sort of health insurance that she can treat her malaria. There is so many, structure is what we should be talking about. It's no longer about sharing rice, it's no longer about sharing this, it is no longer about sharing akara, it is no longer about giving envelope, it is about bringing all those rice and this and envelope and putting it together and saying to ourselves, we have to have a bank. There have to be a structural bank that widows that are selling small SMEs that are working. They have to have a health insurance package that widows that can in their communities can have. So I am so grateful. I am so sorry. Forgive me, Regina. I think I jumped the gun. Forgive me.
You don't need to be sorry. It's a conversation and it's a summit.
Like when she said, "Go make mad," it's like I now went
mad. Make a difference. She said, "Women, widows should go mad."
I give it back crazy. Let's go mad for the widows.
Because we all of us know that there are structures that needs to be put in place. We cannot do it overnight, but it can be started and defined, allocated. Because that's what I see saying. My discussion in CSW on the 19th of March is widows inclusion, widows definition, widows allocation. This is no longer, like Regina, you said, the idea of lumping widows into women and the poverty. It is a disenfranchisement and a deliberate action for a more further exploitation.
That's it. That's it.
And meanwhile, we have the men. The men are complaining. The he for she that are here.
Yes, I'm going to give Walkman. Of course, I'll give him that chance. Let me just read some of the comments. I thank you so much, Rashidat, for asking that we make them in a cycle for them to be registered into a cooperative, I think, a societies to save and continue with their businesses. Yes, those are, you see, one of the things that we have realized that NGOs have done, they've taken away the responsibility of government. It's good that we're doing NGOs, but we have realized that the government suddenly thinks that when it comes to widows, NGOs should do with it. And this is why we're having this particular summit. We're saying government is the biggest caretaker. Government is the one that can give better and an enabling environment that would make anything that is done by any organization within a system to thrive. So what we are saying here, we're not saying that people are not doing great, but we could do more. It's like saying government taking over constructions of roads. We know what it means, you know. Thank you so much. I'm allowing this microphone to Mr. The founder of AdWef. I have introduced him earlier, Mr. Willie Walkerman. I'm giving you a bit of some 5 minutes. Let me give you 5 minutes, sir. Let's do it quickly and see what please, ladies and gentlemen, I need to draw attention. We are recording this because we want to come out with a book, a draft, to say these are the points that we want government to act upon. We all know the problems. We all know the situation. We know the traditions, but we know that if government gives us backing, it would not take a snap of a finger before these things are abolished across the African continent. Because the mindset has always been, oh, it's traditional. You can't touch, you know, like the Nigerian police will say, oh, this is husband and wife. A woman will be abused. This is a family matter. When you are seeing an abuse, deal with it. And that's what we are having. You see, when widows are being abused and nobody to advocate for them, you begin to hear people saying, oh, this is the culture. culture, I don't think Africans, we are weak. So we should not begin to advocate wickedness all in the name of culture. So we're saying government should endorse some of the ideas we're giving and suggestions so that it becomes a document. When we leave the earth one day, we are like Mama, we are talking about Mama T, 83, 87, 90. By the time she goes, we can't forget what she just said. We are documenting them. So we want to leave a legacy that any other widow that is coming, she could go there and say, this is my right, not some attachment that we're seeing all over the African constitutional, whatever it is. Thank you so much. So I relinquish the microphone to Mr. Walkerman. Sir, you're here. I don't know whether he's still around.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I also want to appreciate all the contributors, that have done one or two presentations, on this lovely platform. Now, for me, the issue of widowhood in Africa and in Nigeria especially, is so unfortunate, as culturally being perceived, by our society and the men in general. No woman prays to be a widow, while she was either growing up or while she got married. And, we live in a changing world that is more modern than what we used to have centuries ago. Some of these cultures are supposed to have been abolished by now. Women are supposed to be given their fundamental human right as a due to them, the way the men also have it. So the onus lies on government to abolish, because it's only the government, who are the gatekeepers, of the land, who have the power to actually abolish these laws that have been practiced, within communities across Africa. The issue of widowhood, should be taken seriously by the government. And I must confess that I would suggest that, government at various levels should set up agencies, that strictly addresses the issue of widowhood in Africa. Widows are the most vulnerable people. They are the most stigmatized. There have been cases where a lot of widows have been accused of killing their husbands, even knowing too well that some of these deaths are natural or accidental. They end up, being treated, with a lot of these things, which is not good. Now, for instance, this issue of climate change we're having now and economic hardship, this is when the government on its own, should come up with palliatives, to take care of, the welfare of widows who are most vulnerable in the society. Some of these women are not even given jobs in some places because they are widows. Some of them cannot seek help from financial institutions where they can seek, soft loans to carry out micro businesses because they are widows. They don't have a voice. Some of them are not included in the scheme of things in the society where they can add their voice, make suggestions and stuff. So I think even in the area of housing as well, a lot of them cannot afford housing, to house their children or even to send them to school. So for some of us, who are in this realm of advocacy, for the widows, I think it's high time the government across Africa, comes up with, a policy where widows are being taken as the most vulnerable and, being given adequate attention that they need. It's high time. And that includes abolishing some of these cultural practices, that is being seen across most communities, in Africa. widows in the Western world are not treated the way we are being treated here. It's a modern era. You know, the world is changing. We can't keep practicing what we've been doing before civilization. You know, time have passed. Widows are human beings. You know, they never bargained for it. They never prayed for it. It's just unfortunate that, you know, some of you, you know, including my mom, who is also a widow, you know, finds themselves where they are. So I think the onus lies on government to have a rethink, you know, and I think with our voices and advocacy, we should be able to convince the government and push the government to do the needful for widows across Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. The fact that the man is lending his voice to this, and you have been doing wonderful. It's not just today that we know that you've been carrying the cause of the widows. That makes it, that gladdens our heart. I'd like to read a little bit of some of the advocacy already, some of the ideas that are being. Gladys, it looks as if you have another namesake, a lot of Ojo that the the Zoom is just giving people.
Yes, it's a network thing. They just give one person their own. They take one name and give everybody.
Yeah, but Ojos are becoming everywhere. I think Zoom is interested in that name. Who would find out why? You know, but then Gladys is saying also, how about creating a bank that would find widow-owned businesses specific to widows? And I think we should raise that. Madam Hope, I think we should document that. Having a bank, it might look like it is not possible, but I believe it is. Because we see nations across the globe, developed nations, where they give priority to certain vulnerable members of the society. And just like Mr. Workman said, truly the widows are vulnerable. Because when you look at some of the basing things that happen to humans, when you trace them, you find out that most of them are either children of widows or widows themselves that cannot afford. Just 3 days ago, I have one grappling within my mind. How do we solve? She is living in a house that if she opens the window, frogs and all kinds of reptiles will jump in. She was literally, and I couldn't do any. I just sat down. I'm still thinking of how I will solve this particular problem, because this woman, is not that she's lazy, but she can own enough. So when we have a bank specific to a widow or a widow's child, do you know how far it will go? So thank you very much. Another one, you say immortality is a major thing that needs to be looked into. And then Rashida had also asked, I kind of, maybe I need to answer you here. You said we need to conduct an assessment, widows, then later we map out the communities before we can start a network. Of the summit, one woman that has gone even to the National Assembly, we'll talk about that so that we would know how far this advocacy has gone. This is over the years. She's been screaming some time ago, was it 2020, that she wanted to collect data. And some of us.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we also have. Yes, we also have issues. So we're thinking about that. Madam Hope will I think would expatiate on that. Also, Doreen, okay, Doreen said, I think widows empowerment is key. So being a widow, I'm glad to tap in wisdom from the wonderful speakers. I raise my voice more and continue advocating. So empowerment, we can't help it. I think Gladys mentioned it and said, money, money, money. In fact, we need money. We keep saying money. So let's go mad and make money. So I think we're about wrapping up. Yes, but then I'm okay.
Let me just ask something before you wrap up. I think Mommy Ajay is raising up her hand, but let me ask something.
We will wrap up, definitely.
Yes, 1 minute.
I'll give it to her.
1 second. Let me just add this 1 second, because that's another thing. I appreciate the men that are working for the widows, but I want to sell an idea to the men, because he said something about culture. The reality is that there's a dichotomy between the culture and the policy. Let me give you an example. There's UKJ versus UKJ policy. Regina, you are where the in the eastern part of the law, where the Igbos daughters will not. The law is there, but is it being implemented? So our men, the he for her, when you are interested in working for the widows and working with the widows, I think there is time for them to divert their activities more and working with the men to change their mentality. That is the way to go, because the reality is that the men needs to readjust. It is no longer coming to empower me, the widows, men. No, it is you, the man, that has discovered the truth, to go and empower your fellow men, so that you will have enough of you that will protect that woman when he loses her husband in their various communities. That's what I just wanted to add. Regina, sorry.
I love that. Mr. Workman, you've seen you've been given another responsibility, advocacy. I was so glad that when I saw Bishop Michael Okonkwo of the Redeemed Evangelical Mission, TREM, talking about widows 2 days ago in church. And one of the things he said, he spoke to the men directly. He said, every man, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Make it clear your stand when it comes to your wife. And one of the things the man said, he said, many men, their wives don't know nothing about them. And so when the individual happens, you begin to see that the woman is left on her own. The family members will come and like hawks. And that's what I think the advocacy is very important. Let men speak to men so that we'll be able to go far. Okay, Willie Walkman is saying we should watch. There's a video that he's advocating for us to. Okay, he said it's part of this. I remember you were doing a video with that on that regard. Thank you, sir. So before we wrap up, we are going back to our mama. We can't have enough of her. Mama Lycett. Oh my goodness. I wish I'm here to take photographs. We must take photographs somehow. We must take photographs. We just have to. Me, I want to see everybody's face. Then we have it on the social media platform. So, Mama, we're back to you in the next 3 minutes. You just give us your word, your parting words before we wrap up.
I'm very proud to be, ladies and gentlemen, very proud to be part of this discussion. It has been very stimulating, actually. Forgive me, I may have misunderstood something in relation to NGO and government. I think we come to a point. The reason why overseas they don't have our problems is it's not the government is a facilitator, an enabler. The people make their society work. This is one of the things we're doing. A group like this will be an advocacy group. It is advocacy and social activism that's going to get what we're talking about. I also mentioned the power of women. I'm not playing gender politics. It is women who entrench this obnoxious system. So we have to bear in mind how we raise our boys. We have to raise our boys. Yes, grown men should start talking to one another. For instance, a so-called educated man is employed, and his next of kin is not his wife. It's going to be his family. What kind of backwardness is that? Government can't do these things. We're not. I don't think we can arrogate all these powers to government. The power is in our hands. Our destiny as widows and as women will be in our hands. We should watch how we're, from now on, if we claim to be educated, watch how we raise our children, especially our girl and men children, because some of the people who oppress widows and women are women themselves. So there's no point in saying that the government can do this. We can't pass everything to government. Government are enablers, they're just facilitators. We are the people who create the kind of society we want to live in. When I keep saying that how powerful we women are, that's what I mean. Be careful how you raise your son. And when he marries a wife, you see that woman as a stranger come into your family. And if anything happens to your son, you say she's responsible for that. There's a sickness going on that we have to face. We have to face the reality about that. So yes, we have to change those sorts of mindset that we have. Women raise children. And I have mentioned the next of kin business. And culture is dynamic. Above all else, culture is dynamic. You can't keep going to say that our fathers used to do something or the other. Our fathers did what they had to do in their context, in their environment, at their time and space. So we have to really be savvy about what we're doing here. Yes, by all means, get all these strategic structures together and then use that power to lobby politics. So politics cannot change your society. We change the society. The government can't change this society. Look at what's going on from top to bottom. You don't have the government you deserve. Our governments don't come from Mars. They come from us. And if we are so culturally, I would not say backward, because we choose. We're very intentional about this sort of traditional part of our culture that we hang on to. It's selfish, it's backward, it's totally unintellectual. Generally, this society, African society generally, is anti-intellectual. And it is about, and we're very smart people, which is what I'm confused about. We're very smart people. But finally, I'm going to leave you with a thought. We have to be imaginative. Einstein says imagination is superior to intelligence. We're so smart, we have lost our sense of imagination. Let us imagine a better world for all of us, including leaders. And this society can do it. This group can do it because you have some fine minds there. Madam Gladys, amazing presentation. Thank you for making me part of this group. You've energized me intellectually. But yeah, intellect is something, imagination and action. Let's act. Let's make things happen. Thank you very much, men and women, for having this session. It's been a wonderful entrance into the month of March. Let us hope this year goes the way this is going, because it's going great. It's going great. Our hearts and our minds are in the right place. And please, let's propel our dreams further and further. We can do it, darlings. We can do it. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Mama. Thank you so much, Mama. We love you. We love you. We are truly honored to have had you, having to stay this long, knowing that your plate is always full. It's enough to say thank you. So I'll be relinquishing the microphone for the vote of thanks.
Madam Moderator, may I? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, for this exciting, absolutely fantastic show. Well, it is a show, you know, I'm show business. I love you. Thank you so much, everybody.
You're welcome, Mama. You're welcome. Thank you. So on this note, my job is done. I'm sure that the person doing the vote of thanks would pick up from there. Ladies and gentlemen, we've spoken, we have advocated, we have expressed our emotions. The next thing is action. Mama has given us that. We know that no matter what you say or think, if you do not take an action, it becomes just a dream. So we wait, we keep imagining, and we keep working on it. So I relinquish the microphone. Once again, my name is Regina Chris Obodo. I am the founder of The Widow's Might also. I'm a widow and doing great. I am a broadcaster and looking forward to another engaging and intellectual session like this. So thank you, everyone. Every speaker, you were wonderful. God bless you. Over to you, Hope.
Over to
Thank
Frank.
you very much.
Okay.
Franklin, rather.
Thank you very much, Regina, for holding it down. And of course, we can't thank the incomparable Mama. She's poured gems out on us today, and indeed we are re-energized. I thank all of the speakers for pouring out themselves into this session. So we know here on we are all re-energized for what is ahead. I will just hand over the microphone to Lady Charity Uduak to give her vote of thanks. Hope Uduak, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great.
It's been a great pleasure in this webinar. I want to say a big thank you to all the marvelous women this afternoon. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Asin for their unwavering support and compassion. Thank you for your profound solace and a sense of community. Your efforts are profound. Thank you for being the beacon of strength to you. And my highlight for this webinar today was for Mama Taiwo. Mama, I want to say a big thank you to you. You made this very beautiful. Bless you to Regina, everything out there. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on this platform with you all. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Franklin. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Gladys. And please, 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 we are going to have the next meeting by next month. Not next month, next week. Mama Taiwo, Gladys, this Union of African Widows, all the widows across the African unit. Our voices must come together under the union and begin to make that discussion. We are going to have this meeting by next week, the widows that are voices, so that we can create the platform that will carry this message. Widows must be included, widows must be defined, and widows must be allocated. One of the message I can tell you I'm taking to New York is this. If the UN Women, everybody is interested really in ending the discrimination, victimization, exploitation, or all the grammar they have been given about widows, it is time for now for them to include widows. There is no career. I like what Gladys said. Call it in business, call it in legal, call it in anywhere there are widows. It is an abomination. It is a disenfranchisement. It is a discrimination. It is exploitation for a woman to stand and speak of a widow's issue where a widow is standing by. Widows should tell their stories. Widows are windows to women agenda that we must open wide. The only way to achieve gender equality and achieve it fast is to begin to include, define, and allocate widows their own space, so that they will no longer be lost. Like Franklin said at the beginning, every day a man dies. Every day, I mean, when it comes to Nigeria, it's not even only Nigeria, African countries. Because I realize in Cameroon they have their own. There are issues that are taking life, and the lives that are taking more are men leaving these widows. And when you talk about issues about children, about gender equality, about anything you want to talk about, the population of widows, like what the summit we had 2020, Dr. Obieze said it, that some African countries, and that was what I did yesterday, really, some African countries, their population is even smaller than the assumed population of Nigerian widows, which is only assumed. Yet, those nations plan, allocate, and execute. So why wouldn't widows be captured with a plan, allocation, and execution? See you next weekend. I'm going back behind the scene. I'm going to be on all of you people's neck. We must get this right. Our grandchildren to come, we look back and know that we actually use our voice to make this change. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Gladys.
Bye-bye. Love you all.
Yes, Gladys, thank you.
Thank you
Hosea,
too,
thank
Regina.
you.
You are my
Thanks,
star, Regina. You are
everybody.
my star.